Customer service rep Jason Selby is suing his ex-girlfriend, 25-year-old receptionist Anne-Marie Burke, for having him falsely arrested for domestic violence twice. Anne-Marie says she stands by her charges.
Yes, case number 10 on the calendar in the matter of Selby versus Burke. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Selby, the defendant is your former girlfriend. You have a child together, and it is your claim that she filed 2 cases against you for domestic violence, both of which were false. One she dropped, the next one she pursued. You were found not guilty, and you are suing her for those false charges. Ms. Burke says that you did, in fact, put your hands on her in a violent manner on both of those occasions, which is why she called the police.
Yeah.
How old is your child?
He's almost 2.
Do you have an order declaring you to be the father of this child?
No.
Why not?
My name's not on the birth certificate because she was married when my son was born, and I'm not legally considered the father.
He is. He went to court and said that he was the father in my divorce.
Okay. Well, he may have gone to say he was the father in your divorce, but has there been an adjudication of paternity in any court?
No, ma'am.
No.
Oh, you are, sir. Listen to me very carefully. I have a surprise for you. You're going to be very happy to hear this. It says, the third-party defendant, that was you, Jason Selby, that is your name, is it not?
Correct.
Is hereby established as the biological father of the minor child, Brendan Selby.
Okay.
We're going to get you a copy of this, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
You are the father. You have certain rights and certain responsibilities, Mr. Selby. It's interesting when I read your case, when I read your complaint, the defendant is now living in another area, so you haven't been seeing your son. How old was your son when you two separated?
It was about 1.5 years.
Okay. Now, Ms. Burke, I'm coming to you. When was the first instance of domestic violence which was the subject of a restraining order that you placed upon Mr. Selby?
September.
Okay, and tell me what happened in September of 2004.
He came.
Who was this, by the way?
This is the guy that used to live up front, our neighbor, Robert Minion.
And what is he now?
A witness to both instances.
Okay. This is not the boyfriend that he talks about, is that right?
It's not the boyfriend. He's never been my boyfriend.
But he came with you to court?
Right.
And you live in Florida?
Right.
And he flew with you from Florida?
Right.
Did you
Yes.
stay together last night in the same place?
They wouldn't give us 2 separate hotel rooms.
I'm just asking you a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Okay. I never stayed in the same hotel room with a neighbor when I traveled.
I asked, and they said that there was going to be at least 2 separate beds, because I asked her about that, about getting 2 separate hotel rooms.
Mm-hmm. You think I believe you? I don't. Let's move on. September 2004.
He came to the house, and we were arguing about Brendan, our son. I went into the room, and I was packing my stuff and putting it in a bag.
Just a second. So this was a place that you lived together?
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't come to your house?
He moved out. He had moved out when...
When had he moved out?
Maybe 2 days before that, because he had found a letter, and he went through my stuff. And
A letter from whom?
Me. It was stuff that I wrote about my feelings, about him and the way he treated me.
Okay.
And
so he moved out?
He packed his stuff, yes, and left and went to his aunt's house, I believe.
Keep going.
And he pushed me back because I went to try to go around him in the bedroom to leave, and I told him to leave me alone and to let me go.
Well, what did he do?
He kept pushing me back.
That's not what you said in here. You said he pushed you once.
He kept trying to stop me from going.
Don't make things up as we're going along, Miss Burke. You said in your answer that he pushed you one time, not kept pushing you. Now, which one was it? Did he push you one time, as you swore to in your complaint, or did he push you multiple times, as you just told me?
He did push me one time, but he kept, like, holding, like, where I couldn't get around him. He would move over to the side to where I couldn't get around him. When I did get a...
Blocking, not pushing.
Right.
Go ahead.
Before I had gotten to the car is when he had shoved me from behind. We fell into the car. He wouldn't let me get into the car, and that's when Robert had called the police.
You have a police report?
Not with me, no.
Do you?
Yes.
I'd like to see it, please. All right, Mr. Selby, you want to tell me what happened on September 9th, please?
Can I start from September 8th?
If it's absolutely necessary. If it's not necessary, it's just going to irritate me.
September 8th, I was at work with her son Tyler because there were hurricanes, the schools were closed. When she came to pick me up from work, she brought Robert with her to pick me up from work. We went home.
On September 8th?
Correct. She left with Robert for approximately 2 hours. I knew she wrote that 19-page letter, so I went looking for it, and it confirmed they were together. She has since got her hands on it and destroyed it. There were police called that night because
Why?
he threatened me that he was going to beat me up. Then he called the police because I was on his property, which it was like 2 places on 1 piece of land. The police came out and they escorted her off the property with the kids. September 9th, I found out she was packing not her stuff, but everything, my stuff, which I still don't have today. I never went into the bedroom where they said I pushed her. I was never in there. I was in the living room the whole time. I went to leave, get into my aunt and uncle's car. She ran to the car. I raced her to the car. I beat her to the car. No one fell. There were no tripping.
Why was she running to the car?
To take it.
Go ahead.
When I got in the car, Robert ran over on the phone, said he witnessed me hit her. I did it, I did it. I asked to speak to the cop. He wouldn't let me get on the phone.
Okay. Why did you drop that case?
Because Jason, we were going to try to reconcile and get back together, and he had told me that he was going to go to counseling, which I believe he did in fact go in January.
Counseling for what?
For being abusive mentally and physically, because September was not the first time that he has actually been in trouble for hitting me.
So you dropped those charges in September.
Right.
And when was the next time you filed an application for a restraining order?
February 3rd.
What was that about?
I got a call from my babysitter that I needed to call H&R Block, so I called them, and they said that my income tax had been denied because my children's Social Security numbers had come back that they were already claimed.
Did you claim both boys?
No, just Brendan.
Just
I got
Brendan.
It right here.
Okay.
It was my understanding that he claimed both the children.
So you were mistaken.
Right.
So, what did you do?
So I called him, and I told him that I was going to come over, and I went over to his house.
With whom?
With Robert.
Big mistake.
Right.
Big.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Don't make things up as you're going along. I can tell I have a truth meter back here. When somebody is giving me the business, my left eye starts to twitch.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jason Selby says, on 2 occasions, ex-girlfriend Anne Marie Burke had him falsely arrested for domestic violence.
So here's what we have, Ms. Burke. We have your husband, who, according to the police report back in September, was of the belief that you were having an affair with Robert.
Right.
That's all over the police report. Whether you were or whether you weren't, I don't have to get into now. That's not my business. Quite frankly, I don't care. The fact that you shared a room together last night is some indication to me that you're more than just friendly neighbors. However, you knew that he was harboring that belief, so to bring Robert to his house was a large mistake.
Well, the only reason why I brought Robert was because he's the only one that I had as far as a male figure, because I am afraid of Jason.
Then you shouldn't have gone to his house. What do you think you were going to accomplish going to his house as opposed to asking him on the telephone what happened?
I couldn't ask him on the telephone because his phone was breaking up. There was...
Put your hand down. This was an emergency situation that you had to go over with him that day?
I was upset.
You were
I wanted
angry.
to talk to him.
Just a minute. You were angry.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you were angry and you called Robert to go over with you.
Right.
What happened when you got there?
I went up the stairs.
And where was Robert?
Sitting in the car.
Go ahead.
And I was going up the stairs and I asked him, you know, why did he do that? I said, you know, I'm trying to get money
What do you
to
mean,
get...
sir? Going up the stairs, I didn't hear him at the door. I didn't
Oh,
hear...
he was outside. When we pulled up, he was standing outside smoking, and we could see him, the way his house is, there's stairs that go up this way, and you got to go around the
So you're going up
ledge.
the stairs, and as you're going up the stairs, what are you saying to him?
I asked him why he was, you know, why did he claim the kids?
That doesn't sound right to me, madam. You were asking him in the same kind of voice you were asking me?
No, I was angry. I mean, I wasn't yelling and screaming, but I was talking a lot louder than what I am now.
I assumed you were. Go
Yes.
ahead.
And I told him, I said, you know, that's not right that you claim Tyler. It's not right that, you know, I said, you haven't paid child support. You haven't come to see your kid. And I said, you know, you can at least let me claim the kids. You know, I'm like, I'm trying to make it on my own.
That's not, you weren't having this whole discussion as you're walking upstairs, madam. That doesn't sound logical. If it doesn't sound logical, it's not true.
By the time I got, I mean, I was steadily
I mean, I know what
from
you're thinking, but that's not what you were saying to him as you were walking upstairs furious because you had just gotten the call from H&R Block, and you, the first person you called was Robert. How tall are you, Robert?
6 foot.
Yeah. Called Robert to come over with you. Okay. So you're walking up the stairs screaming. Go ahead.
I get around the corner, and we start talking, arguing. I told him that he's not a good father. We started arguing about that, about him not being a good dad and him not coming to see Brendan. I did tell him that he was stupid, and he asked me, you know, because I had called the IRS and found out that he can't legally claim Tyler, and that's what I told him he was for. And
No, you just said you was because I called the IRS.
right.
You didn't go through this whole explanation. You just said, listen to me. Don't make things up as you're going along. I can tell I have a truth meter back here. When somebody has given me the business, my left eye starts to twitch. You got it? So you told him you, because you called the IRS.
Right.
Okay. And what happened next, Miss Burke?
I again told him that he was a bad father, and that's when he had smacked me in my eye. And he went in the house. I went running down the steps and got in the car, and I left.
Can I see the police report, please?
Yes.
Incident number 2. Did you seek medical treatment?
No.
Can I clarify that day? First, on January 24th, I called her because she told me she moved to South Florida and she was living with her brother in South Florida. Up until February 3rd, that's where I thought she was living. She told me if I tried to call down there to be in my son's life, she was going to get me in trouble for harassment. So I called the police to verify that. They said she could say whatever she wants, but it would be
Can we get to, please,
yeah,
to February 3rd?
February 3rd, I spoke to a family lawyer and the county courthouse. I couldn't file anything because I didn't know her address. That night, I got home from work. I was playing PlayStation, got a phone call on my cell phone, answered it, and there was low signal, and it didn't come in. She called back about 2 minutes later. She said, "Good, you're home, I'm coming over," and hung up on me. She pulled up. I was standing on the balcony. She got out of the car, and her first words were, "You're an effing thief."
Go ahead.
So I went right in the house, I shut the screen door, and we were separated the whole time by a screen door. Robert, I didn't know he was there until I got the copy of the police report. I never once saw him there. I called the police the minute she said, "You're," and she left. Called the police, explained that she falsified a report once before. I don't want to be in trouble. They assured me I wouldn't be in trouble. Police officer showed up at my door, told me that I was accused of hitting her, and I basically ended up going to jail.
How long?
For overnight.
What I don't understand, Miss Burke, is this. You testified a moment ago that you were afraid of this man, that he had been abusive to you. So I don't understand why you went over to his house.
Because I didn't think that having somebody with me that he would do anything. I didn't think that he would do that.
The person that you brought with you was sitting, according to you, in the car.
Right.
And the first words out of your mouth were what?
I told him he was a thief. I didn't...
No. You told him he was a blank thief.
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that. I told him he was a thief.
Okay. So the first thing that you said to him was, "You're a thief," as you were walking up the stairs.
Yes.
You were angry, agitated. Did you think that that was going to provoke him? Especially since you were wrong.
You're right.
And you think that if you hadn't gone over there to this person that you were really afraid of, that all this would have happened?
I didn't honestly think that he would do something with somebody there, because when we did pull up, he was leaning, you know, smoking a cigarette out over the...
Well, what did you
can see.
intend to accomplish, Miss Burke? He had already claimed your son, you thought 2 sons, but he had already claimed your son on his tax returns. That was done.
I thought that he would help.
You thought that he would help, and your first statement to him was, you're a thief? That's the way you wanted to start this exchange, this friendly exchange? Now, Mr. Selby, have you ever exercised poor judgment with regard to Miss Burke?
Yeah, meeting her, unfortunately.
Well, I'm not talking about just meeting her. I'm talking about other things. Have you ever exercised poor judgment?
Yes.
And have you ever exercised poor judgment when the police weren't called?
Probably.
The primary thrust of your complaint here is that you were embarrassed.
For the defamation of character.
Right. I can understand that that happened. And I think that you deserve to be compensated for that, because I don't believe that you hit her.
Thank you.
And clearly neither did a court. If you ever want to have a relationship with this child, it's your responsibility to go into court immediately and seek an order of visitation and be prepared to enter into an order of support for your son. She didn't move out of state, but she moved away from where the 2 of you were living. Certainly, you wouldn't like it if he took the child, would you?
I actually set up dates for him to come see his son.
How
and he
far
won't
away
come.
did you move?
Like 10 minutes. I only live like 10 minutes away from him, and
Oh,
that phone
then
number's
what
never
are you
changed.
complaining about, Mr. Selby?
To this day, I don't know where she lives.
He's always known where I lived, and he knows my phone number. It's never changed.
Easy. If you say he knows where you live, where do you live?
My new address is 216 Street.
When did you move there?
Probably like a month ago.
Did you give him that address?
No. 'Cause
So
we
he
weren't
doesn't
allowed
have
to-
that address.
He has my phone number.
Listen to me, Miss Burke. I speak English. It's
I-
my primary language. You say he's always known my address. He's always known where I lived.
From the time that he has been trying to visit his son, he has always known the house that I have
You
stayed
said
in.
that you moved.
I moved.
I don't understand. Stayed in, lived. You know, you're being slick with me. Don't be slick
I'm
with
not
me.
trying to be slick. I'm
Mr.
nervous,
Selby,
and he's had the
you
opportunity.
go to court, establish an order of visitation. That's what you have to do. She didn't move 100 miles away. According to her, she lives no more than 10 or 15 minutes away from where you live. Is that what you're swearing to today, madam?
Yes.
Well, that's what you have to do.
In order, I tried, but I don't have a physical address where she is.
Well, now she just gave it to you.
Right. And in the beginning, she moved right in with Robert, so I
So
wasn't
there's
going to
no
go
question
visit.
about that. She identifies Robert, and Robert identifies himself as her live-in roommate.
Yeah, it's going to be very
That-
tough
just
for
a second.
me.
Very live-in. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Niece, 21-year-old telemarketer Bettina Saraceno, for unpaid rent and attorney's fees.
Order. All rise. Quiet, please.
Today. Thank you. Your Honor, this is case number 13 on the calendar in the matter of Saraceno versus Saraceno. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Saraceno, you are currently the trustee and I assume the executor of your mother's estate. Is that right?
That's correct.
And that was relatively recent circumstance because prior to that, your brother was the trustee and executor of her estate. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
When did your mother pass away?
She passed away on November 10th, 1998.
It was October 10th.
Or October 10th, I'm sorry.
When your mother passed away, one of the things of value in her estate was a house. Your claim is that the defendant, who is your niece, is living in the house, refuses to pay rent, and refuses to move out of the house.
That's correct.
You are suing her for $1,500 for rent. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
For what months, sir?
I became the trustee on January 10th, so I would want fair rent from January 10th to the present.
When did you first advise her that you wanted her to pay rent?
The beginning of February.
In January, you didn't tell her you wanted rent.
No, I did not.
He's never told me.
Shh. Did you tell her how much rent you wanted?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
How much
It
did you
was
tell her?
$400 a month.
And what did she say when you told her you wanted $400 a month?
She had talked to her father,
Who was your brother.
who is my brother, she told me that he did not say that she had to pay rent and that she could live there without paying rent.
Okay. How old are you?
21.
What do you do?
I'm a telemarketer.
How much do you make a week?
400
How long have you been a telemarketer?
for like 2 months.
What'd you do before that?
I did home care for elders.
Who else lives in the house?
My aunt and my cousins,
How many cousins?
2.
Your aunt, is that your sister?
Yes.
Does she pay any rent?
No, she does not, Your Honor.
Is that with your permission?
Not expressly, but as to this point, that would be fine, yes. I don't have a problem with that.
Is there any reason why you want your niece to pay rent?
Because the house has certain bills and obligations. It has taxes that it has to pay.
Why would, I'm just curious, why would you allow your sister and her children live there rent-free and not allow your niece to live there rent-free?
Because my sister has a drug habit, okay? She doesn't have anywhere else to go. The only other alternative is to put her out in the street, and I just don't have the heart to do that at this time.
And
Well, shh, I'm not finished yet. Well, you may not have the heart to do that, but you can understand why your niece says, why should my cousins be allowed to live rent-free in the house, and I not be allowed to live in the house rent-free when my aunt could work just as well as I can. She's a lot older than I am. She could work. And my uncle is letting his sister and her family live there rent-free. I love my grandmother, too. Why can't I live there?
That's a very good question. I have a very good answer, Your Honor.
I'm ready for you,
The
sir.
reason is she just recently moved into that house a couple of weeks ago. Before that time, she had her own house
Who's
that she
she?
was living in.
Who's she? I
My
didn't-
sister Carmela. She had her own house that she was living in, adjacent to my mom's house, and she was living there rent-free.
Your sister was living in another house of your mother's rent-free?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sell that house?
No, it's still in the trust.
Well, is there another tenant in there?
Yes, there is.
So you put a paying tenant in that house that more than covered the expenses on that house.
No, Your Honor.
Why don't you sell the other house?
There's a lot of legal fees. There are bills that have to be paid. There's a $6,600 electric bill that needs to be paid on my sister's house.
Why didn't she pay it? What are you taking that out on your niece for?
I am not complaining about that, Your Honor. I am just stating that her house cannot be sold because of that.
Because of an electric
Carmela's
bill?
house, my sister's house, yes.
It's not your sister's house. You said it's part of the trust.
None of them have been divided yet. She will get a share of that property.
Are the grandchildren mentioned as beneficiaries of the trust?
Teresa and Saraceno.
But 2 grandchildren, but not the defendant.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to take a look at your papers as trustee. of
Okay.
property.
There you go.
Okay. Now, Ms. Saraceno, I have just a few questions for you. Do you work as a telemarketer every day?
yes,
What do you work hours?
9 to 5.
And you work Monday through Friday.
Yes,
What time do you usually get up to go to work?
at 7 o'clock.
And you report directly to work?
Yes,
What do you do after work?
I come home and I make sure my cousin does his homework and I make sure that his clothes are clean for the next day and then I cook dinner.
You do that 5 days a week?
Yep, yes,
The reason I ask these questions, which seem rather odd, even to Bird, right?
Yes.
Under the circumstances, is that this is your claim. You claim in your answer that your grandmother's will states that any member of the family, the Saraceno family, who continually puts flowers on her gravesite every Thursday may reside in the residence after her passing rent-free. That's what you say. And that is the basis of your defense.
yes, but
Okay?
I have this
So let
as-
me see that clause in the will.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Saraceno says his niece, Bettina Saraceno, owes for unpaid rent. Bettina says the house belonged to her late grandmother, and it was her wish that she live there, rent-free.
This doesn't talk about you. You're not Teresa, you're Bettina.
But also right here, I have the,
This talks about 2 other grandchildren,
yes, I know.
not you.
This one I have right here where it's highlighted.
Well, this doesn't say anything about placing flowers on your grandmother's grave every Thursday night.
I know.
Doesn't say anything about that. All right, so that's not a defense. And this section that you're talking to me about says that the trustee has the right to sell the property, let somebody else live there, rent it. So it's within your uncle's discretion whether or not you can live there. You understand that?
Yes.
So there is no defense to this action. You have to either pay rent or he told you to move, which is very unfortunate. I mean, which is really very unfortunate, because I really think that you're being unfair and inequitable unless there was some reason you would think that your mother would not want this grandchild to have any benefit from her property. Is there any reason?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that?
The defendant has a drug habit.
So does your sister.
They both do, yes. And to be honest with you, I would want both of them out, but she doesn't pay rent. She doesn't do nothing. I told her to leave, and she would not do it, Your Honor.
You didn't answer my... Just a second. You didn't answer my question, sir. I'm asking you a question. I expect... Just a second. I'm not going to need this witness. She can step outside. If she needs water, go... Madam, do you need water? Do you need water?
No.
Go outside. Go outside. Don't cough here. Go, 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 go.
Your Honor, ask the question again. I will answer it.
Maybe you'll understand it better if I ask it to you this way. Did your mother have a relationship with the defendant?
No.
You didn't see her?
Very rarely.
Yes, she did.
How rarely is very rarely?
Maybe once every 3 months.
And what about your sister's children? They lived right next door.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did your mother ever give you any indication that she was aware of your sister's drug habit?
Yes, Your Honor.
Excuse me, Your Honor, I live right across the street.
Listen, there is no question in my mind that your uncle is being unreasonable. He would not be unreasonable were he not to have permitted his sister, who he says is a drug addict, and her 2 children to live in the home rent-free. But he is the trustee of this estate. It is his prerogative to tell you to move. That's his prerogative. I don't believe that you had an arrangement with her for rent. You didn't even become trustee until January 10th. And you did not tell her until February that you wanted her to pay rent. Is that right? And there was never an agreement to pay rent by her with you.
Correct.
He didn't tell me he wanted...
Shh. Listen, you're not losing, right? So there was never an agreement for her to pay rent. So what you have to do, Mr. Saraceno, is proceed with eviction proceedings against your niece, if that's what you wish to do, because absent a lease, either an oral lease, which you can have month to month, or a written lease, there is no contract, and therefore there is no contract that this court can enforce. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We just have friends come over, that's it.
It's like one big crack house, you know?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Romanchek, Humphreys versus Romanchek. Step forward.
53-year-old homemaker Mary Romanchek and her fiancé, Stephen Humphreys, are suing Mary's son, 18-year-old student Jason Romanchek, for a car loan, a computer, and emotional distress. Jason says the car was a birthday present.
According to your complaint, the defendant, your son, took a car that was yours when he left your home, and in addition, he ruined a computer, and he gave you a lot of aggravation, so you want to be compensated for that.
Yes, Your Honor.
All to the tune of $5,000. So tell me first about the car, which your son says was a gift to him.
Okay, Your Honor, I have a receipt, but the car is mine.
Well, that's a conclusion.
Okay.
When was the car purchased?
It was purchased a long time ago. Jason stole the pink slip, and he stole the...
When was the car purchased? Do you know?
Around March 29th or so.
Of this year?
Yeah.
Now, the title to the car is in your name and your son's name. How much did you pay for the car?
$2,500 something, $3,000.
Ms. Romanchek?
Yes.
Your lawsuit involves a car. Get out the receipt for the car so you can show me how much you paid for the car.
Your Honor, I cannot give you receipts for the car because Jason took it.
Then you must know how much you paid for the car. How do you expect me to decide a lawsuit?
I have a little piece of paper in my suitcase that I didn't know I was needed that. A little piece of paper in my little black suitcase.
Get it.
Where is the suitcase?
I haven't a clue. I'm not a
She'll get
suitcase
it.
monitor.
Thank you.
Come this way, man.
Could I see the piece of paper, please?
And here it is, the price of what was in a vehicle.
This says you paid $7,450 for the car.
You must have the wrong one.
Oh, then I must have it. But I was purchasing 2 vehicles, Your Honor. One van for me, and second car for me is that little one, that little white car.
Did you give her the wrong one?
That's the only one I have because Jason took my...
Whatever. Well, but this is very good that you showed me this, because this is very, very good. So at the time you purchased 2 cars, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You purchased a car for $7,450, and that was your car, and then you purchased another car, and then I assume you put the title to that car in your name. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, I put it on my name and my fiancé name, yes.
Fine.
Because we are going to be driving.
And the second car you purchased, you put in your name or your son's name.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you say your son subsequently left the home. When did he leave your house?
August of 15.
And he took the car with him?
And no, not right away, Your Honor. Then he came back on August of 18 and brought a tow truck with him and cut 2 clubs and
he took the car?
And he took the car, yes.
Jason, you say this car was a birthday present for you. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me about that.
They said I can use and keep the car as long as I keep good grades in school, which I have. And then an incident between her and her squirrel that she caught. I wasn't going to feed it because it was her responsibility.
To feed a squirrel?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And then she went all crazy over it. And then suddenly she just went in my room and just broke the keyboard off the computer. And then she just said that I had to leave or just do whatever she said.
So you left and you wanted to take the car?
Yes.
Who has insurance on this car?
Right now there's no insurance.
Who's driving it?
I'm driving it, but
Well, how can you drive a car that has no insurance, Jason?
I didn't want to get insurance because I don't know what the whole deal because of this court thing.
Did you change the title on the car?
We found out that we couldn't because she already changed it somehow.
You changed the title just to your name?
Yes, Your Honor. When Jason left, I went to...
Just a second.
Oh, sure.
You went to Motor Vehicles and had the car changed to your name only?
Yes, Your Honor.
So get the police to go and get the car.
What
do you want from me? I'm not going to make an order for him to pay you for the car.
I went with the policeman. He did not give his car to us.
He said it was a civil matter.
Yeah, the policeman said that.
No, it's not a civil matter. If you have the title to a car, you haven't gotten the complete title yet, because right now all that's there is a title that's in both names, right? But you went and changed that to your name.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you should get something like this, which has a title that is just in your name.
Any day.
Any day. Well,
Yes.
once you get it, go and get the car.
Yeah,
That's
Your
it?
Honor. Yes, okay, thank you.
Perfect. Now, tell me about the computer.
He got in it and took some parts. Here's the estimate what it cost for me to put my computer back together so I can use it again.
To her computer?
I took the parts that I purchased.
Which parts did you purchase?
I took RAM and the hard drive that I paid for.
From what money?
Well, my friend got it for me, but in trade I gave him a computer that I built by hand.
So you didn't pay for this part?
Not technically.
Not technically. And what other part did you take out?
The hard drive.
Isn't that an important part, Bert?
Very, very important.
I mean, I don't know anything about computers, but
That's
a
why we
hard
keep all that
drive,
information.
sounds like a very important part.
More
What
than
made
that,
you
Your
take
Honor.
out the hard drive?
I purchased it.
How much did you pay for it?
30 or something like that.
Why did you take those things out if you knew that it would render the computer inoperable?
Because I paid for it at the time.
You were nasty. So if what you paid for was maybe $30 from all these things and you rendered your mother's computer inoperable, that was pretty nasty. Right?
I guess.
You guess, I'm telling you.
Your
Let me
Honor,
see.
I can tell you where he got the money to pay for it.
No, I don't want the computer, sir. I don't touch those
He
things.
got the money to pay for it. He took my part that he came with the computer. You ask him where he got the money? He sold it to my older son's wife for $100 to do the other thing. Then he took everything out. That's when you ask him about the money.
To, 'Cause, to, 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 to
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $990.
Certainly, certainly, he had no reason to incapacitate this computer. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You know, you just did it to be nasty. What'd you do with the 2 pieces that you took
Put
out?
them in my new computer.
You have any other children?
Yes, Your Honor. I have one older one, and he turned out pretty lousy. I don't know
The older
why.
one
He
too?
was no good. Pardon me?
The older one too?
Yes, Your Honor, yes.
Yeah. Mrs. Romacek, the car you have to go and get as soon as you get the title. And I suggest, just to be smart, madam, that until you get the car back in your possession, you keep it insured. I would strongly suggest that to you. Do you understand?
Yes, Your
Just
Honor.
to be smart. He's your child. You want to protect your assets. I would suggest you put an insurance policy in effect on that car just to cover yourself. You're not getting any money for doing that, but you are going to get money for the pieces that he took out of your computer in the amount of...
Sadler is suing his ex-wife, student Anna Russell, for an unpaid loan and money he claims she stole. Anna says she owes Steve nothing.
Yeah, it's case number 74 on the calendar in the matter of Sadler versus Russell. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Sadler, I have a question, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the case. Did that outfit come with a jacket?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Just curious.
Actually, I grew out of it.
You grew out of the jacket? Okay. I mean, the outfit looks nice. It just looked as if it wasn't quite finished. Mr. Sadler, according to your complaint, Miss Russell, who is your former wife, borrowed some money from you, and then she took some money that you had given her to hold for safekeeping.
Right.
This was after she and her children, because the two of you have 5 children together. You have children from a previous marriage or relationship, and Miss Russell has children from a previous marriage or relationship, 5 in total, none that are your joint children together.
Right.
And you were divorced, and then after a couple of months decided that it was a mistake to get divorced, so she moved back in with you, and that, again, didn't work out. But it was during this period after the divorce that is your claim that these loans took place. $900 that you claim was a loan, and $3,600 that you claim she actually stole from you.
Well, more or less.
So give me some dates, Mr. Sadler. When were you married?
2001. December of 2001, I believe. I'm sorry, 2002.
And when were you divorced?
October of 2004.
And when did Miss Russell and her children move back in with you?
In December.
And when did she move out?
End of February. February 23rd, I believe.
Okay. Do you have custody of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children do you have?
I have 3.
Now let's talk about the loan first. The loan was made, according to you, in December of 2004.
Right.
Tell me about the loan.
Basically, she had decided she wanted to go bankrupt so she could be a stay-at-home mother. And so I had her pull $1,500 out of my home equity. And we actually spent $600 of that on bills, and the additional $900 left was supposed to go into savings where I was going to pay an attorney for her to go bankrupt when that time came. But the money never went into savings or checking. She just held on to it, and it went with her when she moved out. And she never did go bankrupt. And she ended up, from what I understand, just used the money to catch up her bills.
Miss Russell, when had you accumulated this debt that inspired you to think about bankruptcy?
Most of my debt was acquired when we were married, and then also in some of our separations. But I've always kept my credit up to par. I mean, I had like 16 revolving accounts, no lates, anything. And during the time that we had discussed me going bankrupt for the family, I didn't pay my bills, and then...
Could you look at me?
Yes, ma'am.
There's a simple question that I asked you.
Okay.
When did you accumulate the debt which inspired you to think about bankruptcy?
Over time, between 2001 through 2004.
Credit cards?
Yes, ma'am.
16 credit cards?
Well, I don't have 16 credit cards. I have 16 revolving accounts. I watch my credit like a hawk.
What do you mean 16 revolving accounts? You have lines of credit at banks?
Well, I don't owe any money to a bank per se unless it's through like Target Visa or Wachovia Visa.
So then why were you contemplating bankruptcy?
When Stephen and I were together, I did spend majority of the time as a homemaker, and then I would, go to school, and I did have odds and end jobs. Stephen works on commission, and this past year it dropped significantly, and we had discussed from talking to neighbors and things like that that maybe I should go bankrupt and it's not so hard, and with the idea that Steve and I would be together forever, I didn't have to worry about having my name on a mortgage or having my name on another car loan, that he would take care of that, and then it would relieve some financial burden for us.
How much in debt were you?
We weren't going to go bankrupt on my car because my mom is actually a co-signer, or actually she's the primary for me on that, and we were going to substantiate.
How much in debt are you?
I don't know. I didn't add it up. I didn't go that far. I owe like maybe $8,000 on my Target Visa, $6,000 on my Wachovia Visa, $2,500 maybe to Rooms to Go, I know Sam's Club, Home Depot. I think I owe them like $2,000.
What do you do for a living?
I am a student. I moved home with my mom and wait tables and things like that.
Your children live with you?
Yes, they do.
You get child support for your children?
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
I get $125 a week.
When was the last time you held a full-time job?
I'm not really good with dates.
Are you very good with jobs, is the question, Miss Russell.
I'm sorry, what?
You have 2 children?
Yes.
You have 2 children.
Well, that's a full-time job, but I don't really necessarily
How old are your
get paid
children?
for that. I have a 13-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Your 13-year-old takes care of himself?
Himself.
Himself?
2 sons.
5-year-old's in daycare?
Actually, he's in pre-K.
Now, we talk about a full-time job. That's
and
what happens when you...
he's actually a very difficult child, not that you want to hear it, because he has issues and he sees a psychologist and psychiatrist and otitis media and all those wonderful things.
You still have to work, Miss Russell.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, there are alternatives to stiffing a whole bunch of people who extended your
I know,
credit.
that's why I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to do it.
Okay, good. Now, let's get to the $900. So far, Mr. Sadler, I haven't heard anything about a loan. I heard that you put $900 away ostensibly for a bankruptcy lawyer.
Right.
And now I hear, Mr. Sadler, that there was discussion between you and your wife.
Right.
Although you were divorced, you were living together as a family again, about the viability of her going bankrupt to relieve the family of all of these bills so that there would sort of be a fresh start. You wouldn't have to be spending your money on that.
Well, it was
right?
more because she didn't want to work full-time.
Listen to me, sir. Were there discussions between the two of you, since you are now together as a family, that this was a viable option to relieve the family of these?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So she was going to stiff the other creditors, but the one creditor that she couldn't stiff was her mother,
right,
because her mother's the co-signer on the car. You see how you get things at... Just let people talk and then it all comes together.
And later today...
I ran over there and tried to fish the fish out of the tank with a net and put them into fresh water, hoping that I could save their lives. They were kind of floundering around, but I mean, there was still some sort of life in them.
And they all died?
Yes, ma'am.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Steve Sadler says ex-wife Anna Russell owes for an unpaid loan to retain a bankruptcy attorney. Steve also claims Anna stole money from him.
Oh, so now you can tell me the story about Mr. Sadler, the $3,600 that you claim Miss Russell stole from you.
Okay, basically I got a lump sum of child support from my first wife, and with her going bankrupt, I had agreed that we would use the money, basically like an investment in our family, to pay down on her car, because she was going to keep her car, and that would lower that payment. But the money never got used, and our relationship just kind of went downhill. And basically, I told her, I wanted to put the money in savings account because I wasn't sure where, our relationship was going. And I wasn't going to pay it towards her car if we were going to break up.
Is that what you said to her? At the time you gave her, according to you, the $3,600, you said, I'm not putting it in a checking account. I'm giving it to you to pay off your car. But if we break up, I want you to give me back the money.
Well, that never came out, but, she understood that because she
Don't tell me what she understood.
Well,
this is a court, Mr. Sadler.
It was like this. She had even made a statement to me that, we would discuss it if we decided she was going to use the money for something else other than what we had talked about.
You talked about just paying down the car or paying down the credit cards?
Well, first it was the credit cards, and then she decided to go bankrupt, and then it was, since she was going to still have her car, just use it towards her car.
So she was going to stiff the other creditors, but the one creditor that she couldn't stiff was her mother, because her mother's the co-signer on the car. You see how you get things at... Just let people talk and then it all comes together. Good thing that they strengthened the bankruptcy laws in this country. Financial planning is not bankruptcy. People sort of think that financial planning is another term for bankruptcy. Okay. How much did you earn last year, sir?
Last year, I earned roughly $45,000.
And how much do you get in child support for your 3 children?
I get, for 3 children, I get $50 a week for 3.
What does your former wife do?
I think she works at a daycare at a gym, but she kind of goes in and out of jobs.
That's the reason you have the custody of your children.
Well, there were other reasons, but okay.
Okay. Does she see her children?
Not anymore. She's actually talking about getting for the summer because she lives in another state.
Well, if she gets them for the summer, sir, if you agree to that, you tell her that you'll give her $50 a week for the 3 children.
Actually, I'm not going to
See
give
how
her...
that flies.
I wasn't going to give her anything.
Right. Now, the $3,600 he gave you, under what circumstances?
I think Stephen felt guilty because when we would break up, he would also spend money too. And he was taking out a line of credit towards the house. And even though we were a family unit, the money was only going to go towards his bills, but not help me with mine. And I think that he felt guilty, and that he said if he ever did get the money from Misha, which is the back child support, and I did raise the children for that time, that I could have it, because he considered it like free money. I can even remember when I was even at home with him and my mom was on the phone and he was saying if he did get the money, you know, that I could have it. And I was like, Mom, you know, you need to write down this date, because we didn't really know, because we have an up and down relationship. And
I got it, Miss Russell.
Okay. But he did give me the money and I didn't steal it.
What did you do with it?
I paid it towards my bills. And just to let you know, I didn't just want to go bankrupt. It was, I mean, he was even saying, you know, you need to go bankrupt before these laws come into effect. It's going to be harder.
Well, whatever.
But I do
In any
care...
event, Mr. Sadler, I don't hear anything about a loan, sir. I don't hear anything about a loan for the $900. And I read your complaint very carefully, which I don't buy. I'm going to tell you why I don't buy it. Your complaint, which you swore to, says, she wanted to file bankruptcy and asked for my help, so I agreed to loan her $900 to retain an attorney. Well, that's not true. That's even not what you testified to today, right? So that's false. Then you say, in January, I received $3,600 in back child support from my first wife. I cashed the check. I was afraid if I put the money directly into my checking account, I would spend it. So I gave the entire sum to Anna to put aside for us.
Right.
Now listen to me. In the previous paragraph of your complaint, you say she wanted to file for bankruptcy because she had spent money that she shouldn't have. And then you went on to tell me I agreed to loan her the $900, and then she went on a spending spree and spent approximately $5,000 on her credit card because she knew she was going to file a bankruptcy, so she might as well work up the credit cards, right? Now, a month later, as irresponsible as that is, right? So you would say this is irresponsible, right?
Right.
She was going to file bankruptcy, which means she didn't have money. So she said, I'm going to go out and jack up my credit cards, probably buying things, Christmas presents and things like that, month of December, right, sir?
Well,
but according to you, she did that, and that was financially irresponsible. So the next month, you get the $3,600, and since you didn't trust yourself by putting it in your checking account, you gave it to Miss Responsibility to hold for us.
Steve Sadler says ex-wife Anna Russell owes for an unpaid loan to retain a bankruptcy attorney. Steve also claims Anna stole money from him.
I don't buy it, Mr. Sadler. I don't buy the $900 loan to your former wife, and I don't buy the fact that you gave her this money to hold for us. I believe that you gave her this money to pay down her credit card debt, and she owes you absolutely nothing. Zippo, nada, goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's about getting back what I felt like should have been returned to me in the event our family fell apart.
He actually had me served with papers trying to have me arrested, saying that I stole the money.
We've broke up, God, probably 16 times in the last 4 years, and I'm not about to say it's the last time.
I'm currently reading the book, He's Just Not That Into You, and if I had to give my own words of it, I would have to say he's just not that into you if he sues you and tries to have you arrested.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lee versus Gann. Step forward, please.
20-year-old student Jonathan Lee is suing his former friend, 20-year-old student Christopher Gann, for killing his fish when he dumped soap in his freshwater aquarium. Christopher says it was an accident.
Your first name is Jonathan?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're Christopher?
Christopher.
And you used to be roommates.
Yes.
How long were you roommates?
About a year.
You go to school?
Yes, ma'am.
What year are you in?
I'm a third year, ma'am.
I too am a third year.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Computer science.
You don't want to be a veterinarian, do you?
No.
Jonathan?
Yes, ma'am.
Christopher destroyed your fish tank.
Yes, ma'am.
Based upon those relics there, it was a big fish tank.
Yes, ma'am.
And he destroyed your fish tank with soapy water.
Yes, ma'am.
Killed all the fish.
Yes, ma'am.
He says it was the fish's fault.
More or less, ma'am.
They were in the wrong place in the apartment.
Yes, ma'am.
And he tripped over them. Is that right, Christopher?
I
read your answer.
I kind of bumped into the tank, which
Because you say in your answer, the tank and the fish was placed in a high-traffic zone.
Yeah, I have a set of photographs with the picture of where the tank is, and it's
I'd like to see that.
Oh.
Okay. When did this happen?
Sometime in November.
Jonathan, when did it happen?
November 18th, 2004, ma'am.
And you came home and found everything destroyed.
Yes,
is that
ma'am.
right? Okay. And this is where the fish tank was?
Yes.
And it wasn't on wheels, was it?
It's on cinder blocks.
It's not one of these remote-controlled fish tanks that move around.
No.
How long have you been living in this apartment?
Almost a year.
And in the year, has the fish tank been in the same spot?
It was placed in the end of summer, and then it happened in November.
So it's been there for a couple of months.
A few months, yes.
Stationary.
Stationary.
And the only thing that's moved is you.
Is me, yes.
You get my drift where I'm
Right.
going.
Oh, and I wrote in.
So why don't you tell me, Christopher, how this happened and why you don't think that you're responsible to your former roommate for replacing his fish tank?
First off, I have a copy of our rental agreement which states that no pets should be allowed and that no things should be placed in hallways that obstruct movement. So what had happened was I'd filled this bowl with soap, concentrated hand soap and water, and I was walking from the kitchen to the garage because I wanted to spot clean my shoes. So as I was walking with this bowl, I saw my roommate who crossed from downstairs into this pseudo hallway because it's the main walkway from rooms entrance to the kitchen. So I took the bowl away to get it away from him, and then he made a sudden move to like try to mess with me, and I kind of stepped back and I banged my elbow into the fish tank, dropping the bowl into the tank. And that's what happened.
Do you have any witnesses who were there that day?
Actually, no one witnessed it, so no one saw it.
Well, the other roommate was there, according to him.
He didn't tell me anything beyond that they were horsing around. That's it.
Tell me what happened when you got home.
When I got home, I came in from the garage and basically saw him and another roommate removing bubbles from the tank. And I was kind of shocked. And I go, "What happened?" He said, "I spilled soap into your tank." "How'd you do it?" "I was horsing around." "Well, what are you doing?" "Well, I'm moving the bubbles." So I ran over there and tried to fish the fish out of the tank with a net and put them into fresh water, hoping that I could save their lives. They were kind of floundering around, but I mean, there was still some sort of life in them.
How many fish did you have in the tank?
I had citlets and plecos and a gourami, ma'am. I was trying to breed them.
So you had 6 fish?
I believe I had 7, 9, 10 fish and 2 snails, ma'am.
And they all died?
Yes, ma'am.
Christopher, listen to me carefully, sir. Whose fault do you think it is that all these fish died?
I think it should be, it's mutual, like, he shouldn't have had the tank there in the first place.
The tank's been there for months, sir. When for the first time did you complain to him that the tank was there?
I didn't want to complain to him.
So you never complained to him?
No.
When for the first time did you complain to him that he was in violation of the lease because he had pets in the apartment?
After he trying to come after me for $400.
But not before?
No.
So that's a lot of baloney. What you're saying to me really is, it's my fault and I'm trying to find some reason to avoid responsibility. So far, I haven't heard it's my fault because I was horsing around with my roommate.
It is my fault.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $330. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it's...
Construction worker Patrick Walentine is suing fellow partygoer, security officer Ed Tomaselli, for dental bills as a result of being punched in the mouth. Ed claims Patrick was the aggressor.
All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 46 on the calendar in the matter of Walentine versus Tomaselli. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Wallenstein, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you at a party, causing you physical injury. You had substantial dental bills. You still have some work that has to be done. You want to be compensated for the assault. Mr. Tomaselli says that you started it, he finished it, and you were unruly. You touched him first, and he acted in self-defense. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What is your name?
Amber Trill.
This is the lovely Amber. Sit down, Amber. I'm not
Sorry.
with you yet, but I will be. When did this happen, Mr. Wallenstein?
If I could recall the exact date, it would be
The questions
April
are going to
3rd.
get harder. Listen to me, Mr. Wallenstein. The questions are going to get harder. The date should be something that's fixed in your memory.
The night of April 3rd, 2004.
See, we're not going to play with each other. The only one that has a good time here is me. And you and the lovely Miss Amber were at a party together?
Yes.
Whose party was it?
Kind of my party, a going-away party.
Going from where to where, Mr. Wallenstein?
I am from New Mexico, so I was visiting. I do live in Seattle right now.
And in whose house was the party?
It was kind of an office building that they renovated into a music venue.
And how did Amber get to the party?
On her own, driving.
You don't know how she got there?
No.
Was she a friend of yours before April 3rd of 2004?
Yeah, we've known each other for about 3 years.
But you did not know Mr. Tomaselli?
I did not know.
All right, so give me your version, please, of what happened on the evening of April 3rd.
It was going well. The music was going. I did notice Ed and his friends hanging out at the party earlier. I didn't...
Mr.
I'm
Wallenstein,
sorry.
could you try to focus on me, sir? Focus on me. Not up in the air, not in the heavens, not at your shoes. Try to focus on me. So when you're thinking, you can think and look at me at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
To my left, Amber was standing in the corner, talking with some friends. We gave each other a hug. We ended up talking for about another 5 minutes, finished continuing going into the hallway where Ed was standing. She said, "Oh, hi, Ed. This is my friend PJ." "Hi, Ed." And instead of extending his hand out to greet me, he just cocked back and punched me in the face. And at that point, I started bleeding. I stepped back and exited, went to my car because I'm bleeding. I didn't want to fight. I just went, it's my party.
How come you didn't call the police?
Because he had left already. Sure, I could call.
How do you know he left already if you went to your car?
Because Amber dragged him out, and I noticed this while I was leaving.
Okay, Mr. Tomaselli, now let's hear your version of the events.
On this night, I'd gone to the party. I was with my friends.
How did you get to the party?
I had taken Amber out for a couple of cocktails earlier, and while we were having cocktails, I don't drink, but Miss Triolo was. She said she was going to a party she was going to bartend at. "Would you like to go?" I said, "Sure." We were going to hook up, go to this party, hopefully go home later to my house. Maybe not. We weren't an item at that time.
Could we, listen, I'm not interested in the potential romance.
Okay, but this is how I got...
Shh. I'm just interested in how you got there. So you
Yes,
knew
Your
her
Honor.
before.
Yes, Your Honor.
How long had you known Amber?
About a year, year and a half.
Had you dated?
Yes, Your Honor.
You dated exclusively or just off and on?
Off and on.
All right. So you saw her on the evening of April 3rd. You had a couple of drinks with her, and then she invited you to come to this party.
I did not drink, Your Honor. I don't drink. I haven't drank in years. I'm a wrestler, athlete, professional athlete.
Okay.
I didn't drink, so I went to this party. Amber was already there. We were standing in a circle.
Who was we?
Me, my friends, and Amber.
Could you look at me when you...
Mr. Wallenstein came in from outside, started snuggling up next to Amber. Amber introduced us all. I said, "That's messed up," because they were snuggling. I thought I was going to be with Amber, so I walked away. When I was walking away, Mr. Wallenstein came up behind me, pursued me down this hallway, and said, "What's up, dog?" Okay, he did not put his hand out. He had his hand clenched, and he reached out to me. Through my experience...
How did you see that, sir, if you were walking away and he was behind you?
I was in the hallway where I turned around to see what was going on. I walked through the hallway. There was a lot of people. I turned around to see where my buddies were, and Mr. Wallenstein was behind me.
Yes.
He put his hand on my shoulder, said, "What's up,
How did he
dog?"
put his hand on your shoulder?
Reached out towards me.
Touched your shoulder.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
At that time, I turned around and said, "I'm not your dog." And yes, I did hit him. Through my experience and expertise, I know when someone comes up behind you and says, "What's up, dog?" he has bad intentions. A man this size has the potential of hurting me, someone my size, very badly.
All right, Amber. Front and center. You and Mr. Tomaselli were out earlier that evening?
Yes.
Mr. Tomaselli did not drink?
No.
You got to the party? You went with him?
No.
You went in your own car?
I believe so, yes.
Try getting it more specific than that. Did
Yeah,
you go in
I
your own
drove.
car or did you go with Mr. Tomaselli?
No, I drove.
So you met there?
Yes.
Why do I feel as if I'm telling the story by myself? These are not trick questions. They may get harder, but right now they're not trick questions, Amber. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You were present at the time that Mr. Valentine was struck in the mouth?
Yes.
Tell me how that happened. Try looking at me when you tell me how that happened.
We were talking, Patrick and I, and Mr. Tomaselli walked up and I said, "Hey Ed, how's it going?" You know, I gave him a hug, told him hi, and I introduced him to PJ, and instead of them meeting each other, he just socked him in the face.
Why would he do that?
Jealousy.
He wasn't drunk or anything, right?
No.
He was clearly angry because he said, "Hey, that's messed up." Right, Mr. Tomaselli?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, who are you?
My name's Kyle McElroy.
Kyle, you were there that day.
I was there that evening.
Good. And I know that you're dying to tell me your version of these events, aren't you, Kyle?
I can't wait.
Well, then just step up here, Kyle. Kyle, how old are you?
I'm 21.
How long have you known Mr. Tomaselli?
I knew none of the parties that night.
How'd you get to this party?
Through a friend of mine. It's a Wednesday night kegger that, as far as I knew, it was like a deal that they had every Wednesday.
Wednesday night, the West Wing is on. Why would anybody want to go to a kegger?
So, would you like me to tell
I
my story?
would.
Would you? Okay. Like he said, we were standing there talking. We were sitting there talking to Amber. This guy walked up. We were introduced. We were standing there. Then Ed got, frustrated, decided to...
Just a minute. I'm going to ask you to speculate. Why did Ed get frustrated?
Well, like you say, the girl he thought he was coming to meet at the party was...
Canoodling.
Canoodling. So...
With somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I saw Ed walking away. The guy kind of came up behind him and kind of turned his shoulder. "What's up, dog?" Ed said, "I'm not your dog."
Well, you just did something. You said, "What's up, dog?" And then you did something like extend your hand.
But kind of, yeah, well...
What does that mean?
Well, like I said...
Touched him on his shoulder, right?
Yeah. Ed took it as a threat, obviously. Punched the guy.
You can sit down.
Thank you.
You too. Mr. Tomaselli, you're clearly a very powerful young man. You are proficient in the martial arts.
Yes, Your Honor.
One of the things that they teach you, because I know I have grandchildren who take these martial art classes, is you're supposed to be able to control yourself, Mr. Tomaselli, right? It's all about control, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't think you controlled yourself well that night, Mr. Tomaselli. I think you got very angry. You can't even make an excuse that you'd had something to drink, but you hurt him badly. And there was no aggression on his part, not even according to your witness. He was probably stupid drunk, but he's just sort of a big goof. Mr. Tomaselli, I want you to trust me. He's really just sort of a big goof.
If you say so, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Tomaselli, he didn't come up behind you, spin you around, and punch you. He came up, he put his hand on you, and said to you, "What's up, dog?" Now, I don't know what that means, and I may be out of things. My children are older than Officer Bird's children. Do you know what "what's up, dog" means?
Sure.
What does it mean?
How you doing, man?
How you doing? That's what it would seem to me to mean. What's up, dog? It's not necessarily a term of endearment, but it's not, choose your weapons. We're going to, we're going to joust.
Not from my mouth, at least.
Oh, you're just a big Doughboy. He's you know, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Not a bad guy. Let me see your dental bills, Mr. Valentine.
The first occurred is for the infection. I got all puffed up and in pain. I couldn't sleep for 3 days, and
you're right.
That
I
had
know.
to get antibiotics, painkillers, so I could finally sleep and go back to work.
Which tooth was it? The tooth that's missing?
Yeah.
That one? You need an implant there?
I still need to get my implant.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Where did you pick Mr. Holloway up?
Commerce Casino.
Who else was with him?
2 other gentlemen, like young, like 2 20-year-olds or something like that.
Maybe that's what you were fighting with your fiancé about.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Patrick Wallentin says fellow partygoer Ed Tomaselli punched him in the mouth. Ed says Patrick was too friendly with his date.
What do you do for a living?
I do a lot of things, but right now,
What you just said, what's your favorite thing?
my favorite?
Yeah. You know, you do a lot of things, so tell me what your favorite,
My
what
favorite
your fave
is to sing and host people, kind of like parties.
This is so painful.
That's my favorite thing. But right now, I do have a painting business and a construction business that I work for. So but I can do anything.
Can't put in an implant.
I can.
See what I mean? Mr. Tomaselli.
Yes, Your Honor.
Harmless. You misjudged his intent. Put your hand down.
Sorry.
All right? He's a lover, not a fighter. Do you know what I mean? He didn't want to hurt you. And you overreacted because you were angry. And you have to pay for that. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Ed didn't tell the truth. I did not touch him.
It was a tombstone, flying ruckus, left.
I fell back, and that's all, and I walked out.
Went down like everybody.
Maybe he's been choked a couple times, can't really remember it quite straight.
When they step up to the plate, like Hank Aaron, they just knock him out of the park.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Soyak versus Holloway. Step forward, please.
Limousine driver James Soyak is suing former client, business owner Tim Holloway, for an unpaid hotel bill. James says Tim is a scammer.
Mr. Holloway, how old are you, sir?
33.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
I have a maintenance company.
How long have you had it?
My dad had it since '59. I took it over about 3 years ago.
He's no longer involved in the business.
Sometimes, yeah.
So he still goes into the office?
Correct.
On a daily basis?
2 or 3 times a week.
Are you making this up as we're going along, sir?
No.
Are you trying to give me accurate answers? Because you never can tell why I'm asking you these questions.
Correct.
Now, do you live alone or do you live with someone else?
I live with my fiance.
Did you move into her place or did you move in someplace together?
Together.
When?
2 years ago.
What's the address?
North Wilson.
How large an apartment is it?
It's a condo, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths.
Are you renting or did you buy it?
We're renting that.
Are you both on the lease?
Yes.
I love this, like shooting fish in a barrel. Now, Mr. Soyak, you drive a limousine.
Yes, ma'am.
And your complaint is that you drove Mr. Holloway in your limousine to a casino, hotel.
Yes.
And he told you that he'd forgotten his wallet and he needed a hotel room. So you agreed to put the hotel room on your credit card.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not true.
He used the room and then stiffed you for the reimbursement.
I rented 2 rooms for him, $99 each.
In addition, he didn't have his wallet, so he said he needed some money. You gave him cash. He gave you a check.
Yes, ma'am.
For $300. The check bounced.
Yes.
That's not true.
What's not true, sir?
The room, not the check.
Let's talk about the check.
Okay.
Let me hear.
I gave him a check. Me and my fiance was having problems at the house. I couldn't get to what I need to get to the bank. I owe him for the $300, but the hotel room, it never happened.
Okay. Now, Mr. Holloway, your last paragraph of your answer, which you swore to, sir, says, I did give him a check for $300, which was returned. I explained that I had just moved and was having problems with my bank account.
I did just move.
No, just a second. I explained that I had just moved.
Same thing I just said.
No, that's not. Mr. Holloway, let me understand something, sir. No more than 5 minutes ago, I said to you, where do you live? You gave me the address. Who do you live with? I live with my fiancé. How long have you lived there in the condo? 2 years. Did you sign a lease? Yes.
That's what I said. But I just moved. If we was having problems, evidently I had to leave because we was having problems. So I did leave. Now when we reconciled, that's one thing. But I did leave. So what I told you is the truth.
Can I see the bills for the 2 rooms, please? Mr. Soyak, how long have you been driving a limousine?
10 years.
Okay. You ever have this kind of trouble?
Never.
Mr. Soyak, let me explain something to you. Don't be an idiot. You don't take out your credit card, allow somebody to put money on your credit card. You don't take checks from people you don't know.
You're absolutely right.
Good. Can I have it, please? The rooms you rented for $99, but he certainly did a lot more damage than the $99.
He drank everything in the bar, plus movies, plus phone calls.
I never went in the room.
Okay. You owe him a whole bunch of money, sir. You owe him for these 2 hotel rooms. Who else was with you? Who else was with him, Mr. Soyak?
He found a couple of young gentlemen. They were walking the street while we were in Old Town Pasadena, and he claimed he's a music producer. And I don't know how he knew these guys can sing, but he made friends with them and invited them later to be picked up in the car, and we drove them also to the Commerce Casino. He didn't want the other two men to sleep in the same room as him, so he wanted me to get a separate room for them.
That's a lie. That never happened.
It's not a lie because I have my witnesses
Mr. Holloway,
here.
Mr. Holloway.
I have my witnesses here. My other driver that picked him up Sunday.
So you dropped him off and somebody else picked him up?
Yes.
Who picked him up?
Richard. He's my co-driver.
Step up, sir. Your last name?
Thompson.
Where did you pick Mr. Holloway up?
Commerce Casino.
Who else was with him?
2 other gentlemen, like young, like 2 20-year-olds or something like that.
Maybe that's what you were fighting with your fiancé about. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,113. That's all. Step out.
Thank you.
Daniel Rodriguez for damaging 2 of her vehicles by kicking them. Daniel says Amber and her friends cheated on a poker hand.
Now, this is case number 91 on the calendar in the matter of Hunting versus Rodriguez. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Miss Hunting, according to what I read, there was a poker game that was going on in your home?
Correct.
And the defendant was one of the participants in the game. There was some sort of a disagreement as to who had the winning hand. Defendant lost, and you claimed that in a tiff, when he left, he damaged your car. He says he didn't do it. How do you know him?
He is just a friend of a friend, and he was invited to my house by our mutual friend.
Do you have a regular poker game that goes on in your house?
No, it was just for fun.
How many people were there?
6.
Men or women?
There were 2 women and 4 men.
How many of the men did you know?
3 of them.
He was the only one you didn't know?
Correct.
What about the other woman?
She's my witness, Tristan.
So tell me what happened.
Well, it was August 27th, 2004, and we just had a gathering at my house of friends, and he came with our friend Robert, and I had no reservations about it. I was okay with that. And I think he had been drinking before he came over, but I still wasn't really concerned. He decided to participate in our game, and it had gone on for a good couple hours with no problems. We were all just hanging out having fun, no problems at all. And then when he had thought he won a hand and there was some questions about it, he kind of got defensive and aggressive when we tried to tell him otherwise. And he got angry at us, and he started calling names and pushing people and getting up and getting violent.
So what happened next?
Well, we tried to break it up. He tried to fight my boyfriend. He was calling names. He picked up a bike and actually threw it across the deck and bruised my friend's arm. I have a picture.
Did you do that?
No, ma'am.
Why would she make up such a story?
I don't know. I can't
Did you
really
lose a hand in
speculate.
poker?
No, ma'am. I still remember the hand.
Well, was there some sort of a dispute as to whether you won?
Yes, ma'am.
So you won the game,
Yes, ma'am.
and then they told you you lost the game and couldn't take the money.
Actually, her boyfriend had agreed that I won, and then she jumped in the middle, tried to read his card, said, "No, you won, look at your hand." He looked, and then he agreed, tried to take the money. But he already called the wrong hand. He called a hand lower than mine. I started taking the money down. He kept trying to argue with me. She kept jumping in the middle. I admit I did call her, but it wasn't really directed towards her. It was like, I don't want to hear what any have to say when 2 men are playing a game. It's our money, it's our game. No one else is in the game.
The women weren't playing?
No, they already lost.
Sorry.
They already lost all their money, so there's only 3
But the
people
women
left.
had been playing,
Yes, ma'am.
and you did play with the women.
Yes, ma'am.
So it wasn't as if you don't want to play with women, that it was
Oh,
just a
no.
man's game.
No, we were all playing. They lost. There were 3 of us left.
And nothing happened with the bicycle.
No, there was a bike in the way, but I was getting pulled out of their house, and I bumped into a bike. I never picked a bike up, threw it, or anything like that.
Okay, then according to you, Miss Hunting, Mr. Rodriguez damaged your car when he left. How did he damage your car?
He damaged 2 vehicles. He was inside, and it took a good 15 minutes to get him calmed down. We were trying to calm him down. He wouldn't calm down, so he was physically removed from my house.
How was he physically removed?
By our friend Robert.
Is that right?
Yeah, he escorted me out of the house.
He pulled you out?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't want to leave?
No, her boyfriend had tried to start a fight with me, so I stood up. We were in a fight, and he didn't want to fight, and then her mom came in, said we're going to call the police. Told her to call the police, you know. They're trying to rob me of my money.
So you still felt as if you were owed that money
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
pot. So you didn't want to leave without your money.
No, ma'am.
So you were pulled out by Robert.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened when you were pulled out, Mr. Rodriguez?
Well, he pulled me out, but right before the door closed, I said, look, you know, I'll leave, but I want my money, at least the money I put into the pot in the beginning. They went and got my money. He gave it to me. He walked to his car and got in and left.
Who walked to the car?
Me and Robert.
Robert was the one who had brought you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was a friend of yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he still a friend of yours?
Yeah.
See him?
Yeah. He lives on the same street, so, yeah, we see
Good.
each other.
And you claim that he damaged cars when he left. You have any witness? Did you see him do that?
I actually have Robert here as a witness.
Really? Bring him in. And Robert is your friend?
Yes, ma'am.
So Robert wouldn't lie for her?
I can't speak on that. He's intimate with her friends, so a lot of people do a lot of things when they're with somebody.
I don't think that's important.
Swear the witness, please.
Raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear to tell the truth in these matters?
Yes, I do.
State your name for the record, please.
Robert Silva.
Mr. Silva, Mr. Rodriguez says that you're a friend of his. Is that right?
That's correct.
How long have you known him?
About 15, 16 years.
You invited him to a party on the 27th of August at Miss Hunting's home. Is that right?
Yes.
You were playing poker?
Yes.
And there was some sort of a dispute over a winning hand. We're getting past that. Did you see an incident involving Mr. Rodriguez and a bicycle?
No.
Didn't see him pick up or toss a bicycle?
No.
Did you remove him from the house?
We walked out together.
You didn't pull him out of the house?
Pull, no. I was just, he wasn't done talking, and I think we were done talking, so I said it was time to go.
Now, when he left the house, can you describe what happened, sir?
I told him to leave, and I went to go close the door.
Look at me when you're talking.
And on the way out, I seen him kick Amber's car on the way out.
How many cars did you see him kick?
I only seen him kick Amber's car.
Did you say anything to him when you finally caught up to him?
No.
You didn't say, why did you kick Amber's car?
It's too late. It doesn't matter why. I couldn't stop it.
Oh, no. That's their witness. They say
That's their witness, sir,
they
but
say
your
I
friend
kicked-
for 17 years.
Oh, yes, ma'am. But it just seems fugazi to me because...
What?
It seems a little funny to me because they said I threw a bicycle. He didn't see it.
No,
They
he
say
didn't see
I kicked
that.
2 cars, and he only seen me kick 1. Oh, no. The story seems wrong.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Just want to make sure that you think I'm fair. Not that it's really important to me what you think, but I want you to start doing a little thinking.
And later today,
Were you annoyed that she went back to her husband?
No, Your Honor.
Well, then if you weren't annoyed, why don't you do the right thing?
Yes, you say lack of communication.
Lack of character is more like it.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amber Hunting says acquaintance Daniel Rodriguez vandalized 2 of her cars after an argument over a poker game. Amber has produced a surprise eyewitness.
Did you call the police immediately?
As soon as I saw the damage to the vehicles, I went inside.
Was
and
that
called
the same
police.
day, the 27th of August?
Yes.
Can I see the police report, please? How old are you, Miss Hunting?
21.
You live at home with your folks?
With my mother.
And this is your mom?
Yes.
Who, if I called her as a witness, would testify about a lot of bad language that she heard, and she said she was going to call the police, correct?
Correct.
You have photographs of the vehicles?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them, please. Well, the detective who responded saw the following, Mr. Rodriguez. He saw the damage to the cars. The issue is really, was this old damage, new damage? But let me tell you what the police officer wrote. Second vehicle, 1997 Ford Escort, belonged to Amber's mother, Doreen Hunting. I noticed a circular dent near the driver's side door and chipped paint around the dent. I located several pieces of the chipped paint on the ground directly below the dent on the door. So you know what that suggests to me, Mr. Rodriguez?
New damage?
Very smart. Now, who do you think had a motive to be angry that night?
I did.
And whose dear friend who invited them to this party says it was you who caused the damage?
Mine.
Mr. Rodriguez, if you were sitting in my place, would you think that I caused the damage?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Just want to make sure that you think I'm fair.
But
Not
I'd
that it's,
also would
not
think
that it's
that-
really important to me what you think, but I want you to start doing a little thinking. What are the estimates to fix these 2 dents?
$1,893.
Together.
Yes.
That's a bargain. So not only didn't you win, sir, at poker that night, but your temper is going to cost you $1,893. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it was drunkenness, and nobody was really listening to each other, and emotions run high when drinking is involved.
There were a bunch of people playing a game of poker who were too drunk to know how to really play.
It wasn't that big of a deal till my vehicles were damaged.
They were talking, we wanted to call the police, wanted to fight.
He was my friend's friend. I didn't think it was necessary. I had hoped that he would calm down.
Told him to call the police. I thought it was a good idea.
I just wanted to handle it right and take care of it, but he denied it.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
It's no big deal, you know. I've known him 15 years. It's just one night.
Thank you for showing up and taking care of everything, and I'm glad everything's over with.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kerr versus Guthrie. Step forward, please.
26-year-old account manager Lisa Kerr is suing her ex-boyfriend, Private Eye Gary Guthrie, for a loan to buy a spy cell phone. Gary says the spy equipment was a gift.
Miss Kerr, who is this?
This is my witness, my friend Lindsay.
Mr. Guthrie, who is this?
This is my brother Adam in witness.
This is the situation as I understand it. You and Mr. Guthrie dated briefly. Was it a time he was separated from your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
And for some strange reason, according to you, Mr. Guthrie, who needed some spy equipment, that's your business, you're in security, surveillance, and you agreed to put it on your credit card, this piece of equipment that he saw that he liked. And you did. According to you, he said he was going to pay for it. The piece of equipment came, you and Mr. Guthrie no longer an item. Mr. Guthrie says that the spy equipment doesn't work.
Correct.
So he's not paying for it, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
If it worked, were you going to pay for it?
Well,
Well is not an answer, Mr. Guthrie.
Well, I
if it
assumed it
worked,
was
listen to me very carefully, sir. If it worked, were you going to pay for it? Just a second. The questions get harder. What's your first name?
Gary.
Gary? Listen to me, Gary. Try not to play with me, sir, otherwise you're going to look like an idiot. If it worked, were you going to pay for it?
Yes, Your Honor.
That wasn't hard, was it, Gary?
No.
Did you actually think you were going to come here and make a fool out of me?
No.
So it didn't work. And you told the plaintiff it didn't work, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so the company said, send it back to us, and while you're not going to get your money back, you can buy additional merchandise.
Or switch it out for another one that might work if it
Or
came.
switch it out.
Yes, ma'am.
And you understood that, right, Gary?
Yes, Your Honor.
See how mellow Gary is getting now? Gary gets it now. Because in Gary's answer, he thought he was being a wise guy, and he told me first it was a gift from her, that she bought him a gift. And then she changed her mind because she went back to her husband and they got this big bill, and that's why she's probably coming after him. That didn't ring true to me. So that's why I asked Gary if he was intending to pay her back for it if it worked. You understand, Gary? Then you bring along genius with you over here. Because the idea was, according to you, and you agree, that you were told to pack up the old equipment and send it back to the company. And you brought her over the box.
No, I didn't actually bring the box.
How did she get the box?
Through my brother.
He brought her the box.
Yes.
And she paid for sending it back.
That's correct.
Not you. She paid for sending it back. Now, genius, you can stand up.
Lisa Kerr says ex-boyfriend Gary Guthrie owes for a loan to buy a spy phone. Gary claims the phone was broken and he tried to return it.
You got a first name?
Adam.
You didn't pack up the spy equipment, did you, Adam?
I was told
Is not an answer.
I did pack up the equipment,
You did?
but I grabbed the wrong device, apparently.
What does that mean, genius?
When I gave it to Lisa and she'd shipped it off, they told her it was the wrong device. But I did not know because my brother was out of town. It was a phone call that told me to pack up the device.
What did you tell your brother to do?
I told him to grab my cell phone and back it up to get to her.
Your cell phone? Well, that's not a spy piece of equipment that costs $3,400.
Well, if you've seen my other cell phones, you'd understand that I have a lot of cell phones, and all my cell phones are pretty high-tech.
I somehow think, Adam, that this was a little scammy-whammy that was going on here, kids. You sent back the wrong thing. Did you send back the wrong thing?
Yes, by accident.
Ultimately, you found the device, and it had not been sent back, right?
Correct.
When you found the device that had not been sent back, what was the first thing you did?
Well, I told her I obviously
So the first thing you did was call her.
I tried to attempt to. I wasn't able to get in touch with her.
So you did call her.
Yes, once I found out it was the wrong device.
Well, then I want to know, what date did you find out it was the wrong device?
Mid-December, somewhere in the middle of December.
And when did you find out that they didn't receive the device?
It was right around December the 18th or 20th.
And when did Mr. Guthrie call you?
I actually never spoke with him about that until I had left to go on Christmas vacation, and I ended up breaking my leg. So I was out of commission for a few months, and I finally got a hold of him again in March.
So between December, when he found out that he did not give you the right piece of equipment, and March, are you telling me he never called you?
Not that I spoke with him, and not a message that I got from him, no.
So he never called?
No, ma'am.
As far as you know, he never called?
Right.
What did you do with the piece of equipment, Gary?
Well, come mid-April, we were fishing, and I was trying to get the device to work, which is the whole issue, how it didn't work. And out of frustration, it actually ended up in the lake.
So, Gary, who do you think ought to pay for this piece of equipment?
Well, my assumption, seeing that she didn't call me back for that period of time.
Didn't call you back. Did you send her a letter?
I didn't send a certified letter, Your Honor, no.
Did you send her back the piece of equipment and say, I'm sorry, my idiot brother made a mistake? The answer is no. The answer is you took the piece of equipment and you threw it in the lake. It's according to you. I don't know whether I believe you or not, but that's according to you. When did you throw it in the lake, Gary?
Let's see, April, mid-April.
So you could have done a lot of things. The first thing that you could have done was try her once on the phone. If I believed that, you couldn't get her in. So you packed the piece of equipment up and say, I'm sorry, this was a big mistake. That's in December. I'm going to bear the burden of sending it back to the company. I don't want you to send it back for another $70 because my brother doesn't know whether he's a foot or horseback, right? You chose not to do that, Gary. Were you annoyed that she went back to her husband? Huh?
No, Your Honor.
Well, then if you weren't annoyed that she went back to her husband, why don't you do the right thing?
Yes, you say lack of communication.
Lack of character is more like it. How much was it?
The original purchase was $3,035. The other items that he chose to replace it came to an additional $223. They wouldn't send me a return authorization.
Just a second, you mean you bought other stuff, Gary? Gary! Did you buy other stuff? You bought another $223 worth of stuff?
I was trying to exchange, yes,
You were trying to exchange it for the wrong piece of equipment that your brother sent back.
Something that actually worked.
Just a second. You bought some other stuff despite the fact that your brother sent back a bad cell phone instead of this piece of spy equipment.
I wasn't aware that he'd done that, Your Honor.
Well, did you send back the other stuff that you purchased for $223?
I never received it.
We never received it because we had to give them the list of the items that we wanted in replace of it. After we gave them that list, they gave us the return authorization. Once they received the phone, they were going to send the items. Well, they never received the phone.
So they never sent the items. Why,
Yes,
then you shouldn't be charged for them.
But I have the email where it says we have to charge your card prior to even giving you the return
Then you have to call them
authorization
and say you never sent those items. Do you understand? I'm not charging you for those. That you take up with the company. They never sent you the merchandise. They can't charge you.
I have done that. It's a company in Thailand. It's really the only way I can communicate with them is through email.
Well, then I would suggest that you be smarter next time and not deal with a company in Thailand and not deal with Gary.
Understood.
And his brother. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,035. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I would.
41-year-old hairdresser Kim Reed. Herbert claims he overpaid his child support. Kim is countersuing for attorney's fees.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 336 on the calendar in the matter of Biggert versus Reed. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Biggert, the defendant is your former wife, and it is
Yes.
your claim that since you've been divorced, separated, and under a child support order, you have overpaid some $3,500 in child support.
Yes.
You say that it was not an overpayment, the money was used for the children, and there was some sort of an agreement for him to pay you additional money. You have a counterclaim for $700 because you say he was ordered to pay $700 in attorney's fees for some sort of a custody proceeding the two of you were involved with, and he did not pay that amount. When were you divorced?
1988.
And you have two children?
Yes.
How old are they?
Howard is 18 and Sarah is 16.
And what was the child support order?
It was approximately $1,200 per month.
And during what period of time did you overpay?
I'm assuming it was over the whole period because when I received the paperwork from the court, it just said we did an investigation from the time you started paying child support until the end of August.
So over a 13-year period?
Yes.
And you can't definitively say over what period of time you made these overpayments?
No.
Should have kept better records. Was the overpayment agreed to be reimbursed by the defendant at any time in court?
I was not aware there was an overpayment until I received the paperwork from the court saying they had done an investigation into the child support.
Let me see the piece of paper you received. At the time you received this order, it indicates that $3,573.85 was overpaid over the course of 13 years.
Yes.
I'll hear you.
All the money that I got was spent on the kids.
Were you aware of the fact, Mrs. Reed, that you were being overpaid?
Not at the time, no, because the checks always fluctuated.
When did you become aware that you were receiving too much money?
About a month and a half ago when I got it through the mail.
And when did you become aware of the fact, sir, that you had overpaid child support?
When I received that notice in the mail from the
When
court.
did you remarry, Mrs. Reed?
May of this year.
Prior to that, both children lived with you?
Yes.
And did your former husband see the children regularly?
No.
Did you see the children?
At times, but not.
You have a reasonable relationship with your children?
Yes.
Do either of your children live with you now?
I have custody of my daughter,
And how old is she?
16.
Which she does not live with him.
Who does she live with?
My second ex-wife.
Do you pay child support to your second ex-wife?
I reimburse her for any expenses that she incurs for my daughter, or I pay the expenses directly.
Under what circumstances did your daughter leave your home?
I think it was because I finally got help raising the kids, and I think it was too structured and she didn't like it.
Do you work?
Oh, yes. I have a beauty salon.
Are you under a current child support order for your 16-year-old daughter?
No.
How come?
Well, probably when she went to live with her dad, it was all of a sudden, and I was told she was moving in with her father. 3 weeks later, I find she's living with her stepmother. So I was not very happy about that. And no one's ever requested child support from me. But as my income compared to his income, I don't think there would be much anyways.
I'm not so sure.
Well,
how many children do you have?
5.
How many children do you have?
2.
I guarantee you if somebody requested child support, you would pay it.
Oh, definitely.
What kind of income did you have at the time that the children were living with you?
It was about $11,000 a year. So it was like all I could do to keep us in the house that we bought together when we were married, but I wanted to keep the kids where they were raised.
I want to do a calculation for you, Mr. Biggert. Maybe it will make you feel better. Difference of $3,500 over the 13-year period. Do you know what that comes out to, Mr. Biggert? $22 a month.
Yes.
Or $5 a week. So nobody got rich on that difference. And quite frankly, I don't feel justified in saying to the defendant, who really didn't know that she had received an overpayment, now you have to come up with $3,500, unless you can tell me that you don't think that she spent that $5 a week, at least in part, on the children.
Well, I think, Your Honor, that she's probably spent more than that, and I spent more than that over that 13-year period myself.
Right. That's a good thing. Okay. You want to tell me about this counterclaim that you have?
Yes, I've got information that he was to pay for our son being custody changed last year. It was ordered that he pay me the amount of $900.
$900 for what?
The attorney fees for the custody.
What happened with that custody proceeding?
Well, actually, my son come back to live with us, with LG and I, and the 900 attorney fees, it says here, was to be paid to me to pay my lawyer. And so far, Herb's paid 200 of it, and said he would pay me, or if I paid the other 700, he would deduct it from the 3,500 that I owed, and he would only be suing me for the 2,800.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't feel that was correct.
What did you
when
feel
the
was
court
correct?
ordered, because I have a court order here stating that he's to pay it.
You have a court order that he was to pay $900 for your attorney, and he's got a court order that says that he's supposed to pay so much for child support. He overpaid you in child support. You want me to give more recognition to your order than to his?
No.
So why should he pay you a penny?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Herbert Biggert says ex-wife Kim Reed owes for the return of child support. Herbert claims he overpaid and Kim kept the money.
Go ahead.
This was supposed to be paid back in January, and it was not paid.
I understand. Well, that's your counterclaim. He's what?
Your Honor, if I might, you said yourself we were talking about $5 a week over 13 years.
Right. But it accumulates to $3,500.
Exactly.
Right.
This court order was basically after the fact as far as paying the attorney fees from a change of custody.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the countersuit.
When was the order?
January 9th, 2001.
Okay. No, he was still paying child support in January of 2001, sir.
Yes.
He was still overpaying child support in January of 2001.
But we didn't know until now.
I understand that. But for you to suggest that I'm going, or anyone would order him to pay you $700 or $900 for your attorney's fees when you have collected $3,500 in excess of the child support award, even over 13 years, is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. Especially, Ms. Reed, since And I don't know all of the facts, but you have a 16-year-old for whom you are paying zero support.
Because I was never ordered yet.
If a man, Miss Reed, if a man said that to me in court, I don't have to pay child support because I was never ordered to pay it, I would wipe up the floor with them. You don't have to be ordered to pay support for a minor child. That's your obligation. That's your obligation as a parent.
But I do not have the funds that he has. And,
doesn't make any difference.
But if my daughter needs something, I do go get her and take her.
No. You don't have to have the same funds that he has. Child support obligations are supposed to be fair. And you have perhaps less funds than he does, and he has more obligations than you do. You have yourself and your husband, and he's got himself, and he has at least 4 children that he's supporting. One is emancipated, but he has 4 children for whom he pays support, including your daughter, who is no longer living with you. So you should be paying something to his ex-wife every month.
To his ex-wife, I would.
Well, then you should be, and you don't have to wait for a court order to do that.
Well, see, I never understood how all this went. When I had both my children, he paid me. When he had Howard, or one of my children, and I had the other, it just got cut in half, and I didn't have to pay for Howard. So I didn't understand that I really should have to pay for her. And knowing that, I have no problem. I just didn't know.
Well, just a minute. I mean, I just want you to think about this. Howard went to live with his father, so he paid you half of what he had been paying.
Right.
Why should he pay you anything?
I don't
Why
know
should he pay you anything? Now, you have 1 child, he has 1 child, and you each support the 1 child that you have in your custody. You think it's sort of fair that his child support order was cut in half. To me, you have far fewer obligations. You have a working mate, and if 1 child is living with you and 1 child is living with him, then what you do is you each take care of the child that's living with you. We shouldn't have to pay you a penny. That's fair. I try to be a fair person. In any event, Mr. Biggard, while I am minorly sympathetic with your position, the truth of the matter is, if you never got this piece of paper from child support enforcement, you would not have known that you had overpaid over the course of 13 years an additional $5 a week. Correct?
Yes.
You would have been able to sleep easier.
Yes.
Right? Not a big deal. On the other hand, because the money went for your kids. There's no question that if she had an extra $5 a week, she didn't go out and buy herself a sable coat. That be a fair statement?
Yes.
All right. On the other hand, it is the height of chutzpah. You know chutzpah?
I know chutzpah.
To suggest that I'm going to give you any part of your counterclaim after you have been enriched over the course of 13 years, the amount of $3,500. So your counterclaim is dismissed, your lawsuit is dismissed. Go, be nice parents to your children, don't fight anymore, and try to be happy.
Thank you, Your Honor. Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you. When the court determined that I had overpaid, and I thought it was fair to receive the money back.
I spent it on the children.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Aikman versus Ward. Step forward, please.
29-year-old store manager Christine Aikman is suing her ex-fiancé, 34-year-old auto mechanic James Ward, for the return of her belongings. James says she gave him the belongings in exchange for a car.
Miss Aikman, how long did you and the defendant live together?
6 years.
When did you separate?
We actually separated shortly after Christmas of last year.
And according to your complaint, when he left, he took some property that was yours?
Correct.
And that he owes you for some rent?
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Ward says he doesn't owe you anything for rent, and that the things that he took, it was a trade-off with a car that you had together. That you took the car, and that was the agreement that he would be able to take certain property. All right, so I have a few questions. When you lived together for this 6-year period, how did you handle the finances, Ms. Aikman?
With his paychecks, he'd take care of rent, other little things. With mine, I'd take care of our cable, our lights, food, necessities.
And how much was the rent?
$5.95 plus gas.
And when you had to buy things for the house, how did you do that?
It would just depend on what money was where, what was left.
So tell me about these things that you say that he took that belonged to you. What did he take?
He took an antique bed that was given to me by my grandfather. My grandmother passed away. I was also given her...
Okay. So a bed that was a gift to you.
Right.
From your grandmother. Justice. Let's do one thing at a time, please. An antique bed that was a gift to you, not purchased, it was Gift to you. All right, Mr. Ward, let's deal with the bed. You took the bed.
All I have is a box spring and a frame, and it was given to both of us by her grandfather.
When you say
her
a box...
mattress, I left the mattress.
I'm not talking about the mattress. The bed itself,
Just a steel frame and 2 box springs is all.
Not
the
a
original
headboard?
bed.
It doesn't
Not
have a headboard?
No headboard, no nothing.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Give me a break. What kind of an antique frame? I never heard of an antique frame. I heard of an old frame, but I never heard of an antique frame.
She's had it forever.
Oh, Miss Aikman, give me a break. Move on. What's next?
All right. I also have a 27-inch color TV.
Now, where did the 27-inch color TV come from?
I purchased it with my tax refund about 4 years prior.
4 years ago while you were still together?
Yes.
While you were sharing your money?
Correct.
Okay. What's next?
There's also the antique, or the quilt that my grandmother handmade that I cannot replace.
Quilt? Where's the quilt?
It's not an antique, it's store-bought.
I don't care.
And she said I could have it with the bed, with everything else.
Okay, she wants her quilt back.
Okay.
We'll put it in a box and send it back to her. It came from her grandmother. What's next? One quilt. What's next?
And the color TV.
How many TVs did you have?
We had one that worked and one that didn't. He conveniently left the one that didn't.
What else did he leave?
Well, the bedroom set that was given to me, he actually left that.
Bedroom set?
Yes. Washer and dryer. He left me my kitchen.
Kitchen set?
Actually, he took the kitchen table and chairs, but he left me my dishes, my pots and pans. He did leave all that.
So far, what's the vision in my head is that what you get back is the quilt. What's next?
And the back owing in rent that he left when he left in the middle of the night on January 27th.
Now, had you paid January's rent, sir?
No, I haven't. I made arrangements with the landlord, gave him a 30-day notice. Because
When did you do that, sir?
January 1st.
Well, that's not 30 days notice if you left on the 27th.
I gave him the 3rd. I told him the 3rd of February.
Okay. And
I
so
moved out earlier.
Show me the proof that you paid January's rent, because that was your arrangement. You were going to pay the rent. She was paying.
I haven't paid it yet. I
Your Honor?
made arrangements with him. I needed the money to move into another place.
So you haven't paid it yet?
No, I haven't.
All right, so so you owe her. All right, now how much did you have to pay?
I had to pay $710, Your Honor.
Let me see. And what the rent was what the rent was $595, is that right?
Plus gas.
And how much is the gas?
$73.57 plus $20 late fee.
Your Honor.
What?
There was a $250 deposit on those apartments.
Okay.
That I should at least be entitled to discount half of that.
They were only going to give back $100 for cleaning since they left it trashed.
Who left it trashed?
They brought 3 kids to the apartment after I moved out, and when they vacated on the 27th.
How much was the security deposit that was left? Show me.
As far as what I know and what the landlord told me, there probably wasn't going to be much left.
Well, that you have to proceed with the company anyway. You know you owe her this money. You said you needed this money to move into a new apartment. You owe her the money because your responsibility was to pay the rent. She paid for all the other bills. You were there practically the entire month of January, so that was your responsibility.
Right.
The rent. Other than that,
I also paid the electric and the cable bills.
All right. Listen, after 6 years, don't bother me with nonsense. Will you please? Okay. You get your quilt back because that was an antique. Tell me about this car. When did you purchase it, sir?
In 1999, we got it financed.
And you both paid for that car?
Yes, we did.
Is that right? And you now have the car?
I do. Because I was the only one that was licensed and insured on that car.
Doesn't make any difference, but you both paid for it and you have the car.
Right. Okay. Because when I took my name off the leasing, they gave him 10 days to get a driver's license and insurance.
Your Honor, that's totally false.
I'm not listening. Did I look at you to speak?
No.
I was the only one insured.
I don't care. What I'm saying to you is, let's be fair about this. You had a car that you drove as a couple for 2 years.
Correct.
You each paid a portion of what it took to maintain that car and to pay it off to finance it.
Correct.
Is that right?
I'm still paying it off. Yes.
Well, that's fine, but during the time you were both paying for it.
Correct.
You now have the car. you're getting the benefit of some of his payments for the car. Is that right?
That's right.
So why should he give you the last month's rent?
Because I was kind enough to let him stay in the apartment, not kick him out when he didn't sign the lease. He
Just a
hadn't
minute.
signed the lease.
He hadn't signed the lease. What difference did it make whether he signed the lease or not? He was paying the rent. So my question to you is, for 2 years, you each contributed to the monthly payment on a car.
Correct.
And how many years do you have left to pay on the car?
November, I believe, of this year, it will be paid off.
Fine. So now you have a car to which he contributed over the course of 2 years. Is that right?
Correct.
So you get nothing for rent. Goodbye. Have a good life. Have a happy life. Have a safe trip home.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge underwriter Coney Cramblett for various unpaid loans. Coney says Rogers' lawsuit is bogus.
Come to order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 588 on the calendar in the matter of Dangler versus Cramblett. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Dangler, you and the defendant, according to the complaint that I've read, lived together back in the late 90s and separated sometime in 2000.
That's correct.
And you claim during the course of the time that you and the defendant lived together that she borrowed money from you, approximately $4,000. The defendant sort of acknowledges that you loaned her money, but said that during the time that you lived together, she worked for you in your business without pay and worked it off. She has a counterclaim for some property that she left behind.
Correct.
Okay. Tell me what the loans were for, the exact amounts, when the loans were made.
Okay, we had verbal agreement on a lot of these items that I have here.
Let's go, I'm ready.
And part of them was for a lawn tractor that we purchased. There was a rebate.
Just a second. A lawn tractor that you purchased. When?
December 11th of 1998.
12/11/98. Now explain that to me. A lawn tractor that you purchased together?
Coney purchased it through the company she worked for, but it was actually my tractor that I traded in to purchase this, and we were entitled to a rebate of $1,125.
Yes.
Well, the rebate come in form of a check, and I never received the rebate back to myself, and it was myself that purchased the tractor.
Were you living together in 1998 when you purchased this tractor?
No, we were not.
But you moved in together after this tractor was purchased.
That's correct.
And then you lived together for 2.5 years afterwards.
Oh, approximately 6 months we lived together. But we were together in a relationship for about 2.5 years.
You want to give me your quick explanation, make it very fast,
Okay,
Ms. Graham.
The rebate check was to go to me. For me working at John Deere and purchasing this tractor, we received like a 25% discount, which he received on the tractor. And in turn, there was no basically verbal agreement that he would get the monies as far as the rebate.
I'm not even going to go there, Mr. Dangler. Stop telling me something that happened 4 years ago.
I have a copy of
Come on,
the,
what's next? What's next? This is not a loan.
the only reason we're here is because
did you just hear me?
Okay.
Let's get on to loan, Mr. Dangler.
Computer repair.
Okay. Computer repair. Let's hear the date.
That was in October of '98.
Tell me the story.
Okay, she needed parts to replace a computer that she had that was wore out. And once we got the parts, we had another man work on it to repair it.
So what? That's not a loan.
He voluntarily
Just
wanted
a second,
to do
that's
it.
not a loan, Mr. Dangler. I mean, do you think you're going to go back in the history of your relationship 4 years and tell me every time you spent a penny that you want back?
He will.
No.
I didn't hear anything about a loan. For 4 years you didn't complain, or 2 years or 3 years you didn't complain. Now you're not together anymore, and now you want the money back. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Wrong. That's not a loan. Let's go. Next.
Okay,
This is a relationship.
He doesn't want the money. He just wants to harass me. That's
Listen
all
to
it
me.
is. The issue isn't the money.
Miss Cramblett, so far you're not losing, right?
Okay.
Right?
I'm not
So far?
talking either.
It's my girl. All right, Mr. Dangler, give me the next.
Okay, on November 5th of 1998, she asked if she could borrow money from me to make a house payment on her house. And I says, yes, I would loan it to you under conditions that I would be paid back for this.
Oh, now you're getting the drift of it. You see how he picks up after a bit. How much was that? How much was that payment, sir?
$561.37.
Did he ever give you $561.37 in 1998?
Yes, I recall he did, but he offered to give that to me. And there was an agreement, too, basically, that he has a lawn care service, and I would help him render services
How?
As far as, like, doing yard work.
You would actually do the physical yard work?
Yes, trim, whatever, cut bushes.
How often did you do that?
Maybe 10 times, approximately.
Okay, and did
It's
you
been
ever
a
get
long
paid?
time ago.
Did you ever get paid?
No.
Okay, go ahead. Mr. Dangler, what's next?
When she lived with me, she moved out unannounced. She just packed up and moved out when I was out of town.
Why was that?
And she's...
I'm sorry.
And she stuck me for utility bills and rent that she owed me for that month.
What do you mean she stuck you with rent?
Well, when
that's
she
not
lived...
true.
Go ahead. What do you mean
When she lived with me, we made it a agreement that her and her son would pay $400 a month plus half the utilities.
And I have
she did.
receipts that I did.
And for that month, she moved
You don't
out.
want to lose, do you, because you have a big mouth?
I'm sorry.
Now, that was in May of 2000.
That's correct.
We're now 2 years later. Can you tell me why you haven't pursued that rent for the pro rata share of her rent for the month of May if you were roommates?
We only lived together approximately 6 months.
I don't care if you lived together for
And
2 months.
I did ask for these payments to be returned, and they were never returned.
So what I'm asking you, Mr. Dangler, is why did you rest on your laurels for 2 years before pursuing this matter in court?
Because she told me financially she wasn't able to pay me back.
What's next, Mr. Dangler?
March of 2000, we traveled together on a trip to Arizona, and she was if I paid her airfare, she would reimburse me for the airfare. She never reimbursed me for the airfare for that.
Did you have an agreement to reimburse him for any airfare?
No, I did not. And we also stayed at one of my friends' house that we did not have to pay for a motel, and I did pick up as far as expenses for the restaurants and things. There was no discussion about that I would pay.
What's next, Mr. Dangler?
When we were on this vacation in Arizona, her son totaled out his car about a week before that. Okay, when we were on vacation, we got a phone call in Arizona that he totaled out Coney's car. So in a week's time, he totaled 2 cars out.
It wasn't
had
a
2
week's
traffic
time.
accidents.
That's irrelevant anyway. Sorry.
You keep saying I'm sorry.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Roger Dangler says ex-girlfriend Coney Cramblett owes for unpaid loans. Coney says Roger won't let go, and this is another attempt to keep her close.
So now he totaled out 2 cars. Go ahead.
Okay, Coney asked me if I would help him purchase a car, and I loaned him money under consideration that, okay, he would pay me back or she would if he couldn't make payments. Well, I have a payment schedule of money that he did pay on part of the vehicle, but he did not pay the full amount.
How old was he at the time?
19 years old.
He was an adult at the time that you made this loan, which means that you would pursue him first, right?
Okay.
What's next, Mr. Dangler?
After numerous times of trying to contact her for repayment of this, I was harassed. I have phone messages, recorded messages from her son Chase where he was threatening me and harassing me. And I have proof with my daughter, the messages that came to my house that numerous times Coney would call me and she was in a rage and she was making all kinds of accusations and just confusing me that, you know, she still wanted me to be in her life. She still wanted me to be a part of her. I didn't want any part of it because I felt this was over with, and I just wanted the repayment of the money that I loaned to Coney.
You didn't loan her any money, sir. I mean, the only loan that I see of all these loans that you allege is $561.37 that you, in fact, did give her for a house payment that she acknowledges that you gave her. Period. You took up living together. You lived together as a couple. You shared a home. You shared a bedroom. You know, you shared a life together. You went on vacations together. Now, 4 years later, you're coming to court and saying, well, I want all the money that I put into this relationship. I want it back. That doesn't happen. We don't have courts for that. We don't have courts for that. We don't have time for that. Now, on a similar note, Ms. Cramblett, you want to tell me what property you claim that you left behind that's worth $550?
Basically, like, I purchased whatever, a comforter, bedroom ensemble. It was like a makeup mirror, a rock fountain that were gifts, some of them from him. The whole thing was initiated basically like from harassment. I have a police report. He basically is doing this only to get revenge and to see me again. There's no point as far as that he wants the monies.
Ma'am, that is not true.
My son is also a witness, and he also
Not
can
any-
tell you that
It's
this
not
is
a
true.
part of your complaint. I'm just reading it. How long were you married, Mr. Dangler? Not to the defendant, but how long were you married before?
3 years.
And that was the only marriage that you had?
Yes.
And this is the child of that marriage?
No, it is not.
Of another relationship?
Yes.
That lasted how long?
3 years.
You have a short attention span. This one lasted a little bit longer than that. Put a period. It's finished. It's over. Miss Cramblett bought a comforter. She left a pot. She left a pan. She left a makeup mirror. Stupid. We don't maintain a judicial system to take care of petty, stupid issues. People are supposed to be adults. If a relationship is over, and everybody has a narrow window of good health and good looks and an opportunity to live life to its fullest, and it seems to me absolutely ludicrous to invest one more minute, one more hour in a relationship that's over. And it seems to me that that's what's happened here, sir. Your relationship lasted a couple of years. It was over. Then there was a time that you were speaking to each other, according to what I read, long distance. Then you find out things that she's got another boyfriend. You get angry. Stupid. It's over. Put a period. Move on to your next relationship. If you spent a couple of bucks, you're not talking about millions of dollars in the scheme of things, sir. Certainly money that you did not miss from 1998 to the year 2002. Your complaint and your counterclaim are dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's a user, and she'll take you for what she can get. She's an alcoholic.
He was stalking me in hotels. He was, whatever, following me around.
I do not have any reason to pursue her.
I finally was kind of scared as far as with my life, and so I did make, whatever, a police report.
It just got to the point where it got out of control.
I'm just glad that it's over, and I hope that he'll finally leave me alone.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Etchells versus James. Step forward, please.
Computer engineer Henry Etchells and his wife Lisa are suing friends of friends, 29-year-old loan officer Dylan James and his wife Michelle for the down payment on a Harley-Davidson. Dylan is countersuing for damage to the motorcycle.
Mr. Etchells, you agreed to buy a motorcycle from the defendant for $18,000. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, you gave him at some point $600, and he allowed you to take the motorcycle. He was going to come by with a contract at some point in the future. He was supposed to give him $1,000 down. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You never gave him the $1,000 down, despite the fact that you took the motorcycle.
Correct.
But you did give him $600. At some point, either you decided you didn't want this motorcycle, changed your mind. He came to get the motorcycle. You said, you can't have the motorcycle until you give me my $600 back, right? Police were called. He wrote you a check. Stop payment on the check. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You want your money back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. James says that you owe him for the 2 months that you had the bike. I don't know about that. And that you also did some damage to the bike. And the reason you stopped payment on the check was because he noticed that there was damage done to the bike when he got it home.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. How do you know each other?
He's next door neighbor to one of my friends.
How much money did he give you at the time he actually took physical possession of the bike?
Nothing.
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 You're not in business, are you?
No, Your Honor.
Why did you take possession of the bike, sir, before you paid for it?
Well, the defendant told me that it needed a bonded title, which I didn't know what that meant. And I found out by doing some research that a bonded title might mean he didn't have a title. And in order to get a bonded title in the state of Arizona, you had to have an inspection done on it, which this bike required a horn, high beam, low switch, and a brake light.
So that's minor stuff.
So
Right?
I took,
That's
correct,
minor stuff.
except until you hear prices.
Your Honor, I've
Yeah,
got receipts of getting all that repaired and all that stuff done, and it came out to $180.
Yeah, I said, not a lot of money. That doesn't sound like a lot of money. So why did you take the bike?
To do those repairs. Our agreement was that I would handle getting it ready for the inspection to get the bonded title, and he, the defendant, would handle getting the title afterwards.
Okay. How long did it take you to get these things done?
You know, I didn't get them all done. Without seeing a contract, I didn't want to go any further with it.
So why didn't you return the bike?
Just waiting for him to bring a contract.
Where was it?
In my garage.
What did you do to it?
Absolutely nothing. All I did was repair a brake light on it and fix a front brake that didn't work, and that was it.
So you did do some work on it.
Yes.
Your Honor, I've got receipts showing that I had to get that brake light repaired. It wasn't fixed, and it stated on there that it didn't work. They stated on the receipt that it did not work.
What kind of damage do you claim, Mr. James, that he did to the bike while it was in his possession?
When I came over to his house, he was washing the pipes with steel wool, and chrome pipes you cannot do that with, and it left scratches all over the pipes. And this bike was a show bike, spinning magazines. And then I noticed there's a chip in the paint. It looks like maybe he dropped a tool on it or something like that. And then he had taken the gas tank off, where the gas tank goes over the frame. There's chips, and I've got pictures to show that.
I'd like to see them.
They're close-up pictures. I also have, this is before pictures.
Did you take the gas tank off, sir?
No, I did not take it off.
What did you do?
I took 3 bolts out of it, but never finished taking it off.
I thought you said you weren't going to do any work on this bike, sir, until you had a contract.
Well, that's where it stopped, Your Honor.
But you had this motorcycle in your possession for a month and a half. How do I know that you didn't drive it?
I didn't drive it, Your
How
Honor.
do I know that? How does he know that?
My witnesses were his next
How does he
door
know
neighbors.
that you didn't get on it and take a spin around? I mean, that would seem to be sort of normal.
Your Honor, I drove this from his house to my house.
And that's it?
And one other occasion, and the defendant knew about it, I had to get a horn. And I drove it to a shop. I didn't know how much a horn cost, and I let them look at it.
Okay. You have any proof that that's not true?
The only proof I have is that my witnesses had seen him on the motorcycle, or his neighbors.
I'll step up. Change places with him, please. Tell me your name.
My name is Patrick Campbell. Mr. Etchells did specifically tell me that he drove it to his work and had shown it to some other colleagues that were interested in Harley Davidsons.
Is that true, Mr. Etchells?
Your Honor, that was the same day that I brought it to have the horn checked out. It's right near my work, and I told the defendant that I was driving it to work and I would stop by the motorcycle shop afterwards to
So
find the
why
horn.
did you drive it to work for?
That was the only time.
What did you drive it to work for?
I drove it to work because I had to go to work. I drove it to work because the motorcycle shop was right next to my job, and I took it over there to have the horn checked out so I could do it in one.
You drove the bike for your own use. You don't get your $600 back. I find it outrageous that you kept the bike for a month and a half before you decided you didn't want it. I mean, I find you as a businessman, sir, a little bit lacking in intelligence, because you don't give a valuable piece of property to somebody who's a stranger, who you really don't know, without contract, without some security. So if he used steel wool on your hoodinky, there's no way you're taking care of that unless you replace the whole thing, because I have used steel wool on chrome in my time. It's messy. It's messy. But you take care of that yourself. So, did you sell the motorcycle?
No, Your Honor.
Are you going to keep it?
For a while, yes.
Good. You going to ride it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Enjoy it. That's all. Goodbye.
Eyes are excused.